hand. We'll let you up on stage in order of the hands being raised. And if we don't have any live questions, we've got heaps in the text chat that we will go to.
All right, we'll let you off this week.
Thank you.
Good to see some familiars in the audience and a whole bunch of news too. I think Lena's got her hand raised.
Oh, it looks like Brooke's here.
Oh, Brooke. Let's get Brooke up on stage. This is always fun.
Yeah.
Shout out to Gio. So no sleeps here too.
Yeah, a little bit. You're fading in and out with your microphone. Don't know if it's a connectivity or a mic issue.
Got Brooke's hand up.
That's better.
Is anyone having trouble hearing us? We just got a message in the settled world that they can't hear. So
it might have just been me.
I'm here for the ASMR conference.
welcome, Brett.
You made it. You're up on stage. Everybody can hear you whispering.
I think everyone's just happy that I've figured out how to join the stage, so I don't need to say anything anymore.
I've been so impressed that it's only taken you 3 months to learn how to use Discord.
WGMI.
Okay, so it looks like we got like a good audience here ready to kick off. Dave, do you want to do like a opening and give an update on the week and the new partners that have joined, as well as maybe probably start off with a little bit of chat on the whitelist process? We got smashed by the ASM community, and Discord didn't like that. So some FOMO out there, but that's all good. We've got some solutions for everyone, and David will talk you through those things now, and then we'll get into the main questions.
Yeah, it's been a massive week this week. Let's start off with the whitelist. So we launched the bot last night, got an insane amount of requests in the first few seconds. And basically Discord shut down all our ability to run bots. So we're in contact with them to get everything whitelisted again. So hopefully that should be up and running soon. We'll extend the time frame for allowing people to jump on the whitelist accordingly, and we have a backup plan if Discord take too long to get that up and running. So don't worry, nobody's missed out, and we'll consider that a dry run. As for the rest of the week, we had some massive announcements this week. Animoca Brands and Polygon coming into the Altered State machine, which is really exciting news for us, and kind of gives you an idea of the direction the project's going as well. We've also had some pretty big stuff coming out in the announcements thread. The roadmap and sneak peek at the minting dynamics as well. Carmen's posted up some really cool infographics there. We'll have that up on the AFA website early next week to share with everyone, but we thought we'd give you guys a sneak peek first, as we always do. And then next week's we've got a whole bunch of stuff as well. So really exciting time for Altered State Machine crew.
Yeah, really cranking into the work now. So I'm excited to hear your questions today. And without further ado, I guess we should crack into it.
Awesome.
If anyone's got any questions, please raise your hand now. Otherwise, we've got a list going. Okay. Oh, yeah, we've got one from LB. Oh, yeah. Hi, LV50.
Morning, afternoon, everyone. How are you?
Not bad. Yourself?
Very well, thank you. Very well.
Very good.
Very exciting developments have happened. I think everyone's over the moon, and the little leaks this morning answered a couple of my questions. But just to be sure, what is the difference between the Genesis drop compared to further drops? By the looks of it, it's the ultra rare brain and the All Stars. Is that correct? Future drops may not include the All Stars. And such a good brain, is that kind of the concept of the Genesis drop?
So yeah, Genesis drops a way to kind of start the distribution process for ASM brains, as well as give people the ability to pick up a team for the first play to earn game on the Altered State Machine protocol. And the Genesis collection will have some special benefits down the track, so you definitely want to get in on that, both in terms of the characters that come out of the out for the AFA game, and then also in the way that the brain mechanics work going forward. So yeah, it's a inaugural collection, as well as some special little bonuses for people who get in early and support the project from the start.
Awesome. Did you have any other questions, LB50, or did that cover it?
Lost you there, maybe?
Yeah. Okay, well, we've got another hand raised from Teal, so I'm just going to send you an invite, Teal.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hey, welcome
How are
to the
you, man?
stage.
Good. I'm super excited about this project. Thank you so much for the work that you guys are doing.
Our pleasure.
So I have a
Thank you.
question about so like old school gaming. When you think of World of Warcraft, Diablo stuff, when you used to build bots to try to optimize harvesting stuff, if you ever found out you would get banned and your account would get deleted, these brains, like if I'm thinking about Illuvium, which is a up and coming play to earn space, where you can sort of have repetitive action that generates revenue and income. Are these brains and these bots?
Oh, lost you there at the end.
I feel like we lost the penultimate question.
Are you there?
Hey, Teal,
you-
maybe
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Hello. Okay.
Yeah, hello.
Sorry. I'm in a place with bad connection. Yeah.
All
so
right.
I'll get right to it. So that sort of bot repetitive behavior in future play to earn games, is it going to be allowed, do you think? Because I mean, does it give people an unfair advantage that you could have some sort of AI bot generating revenue in Illuvium space?
It's a
how
really
are you guys
good
thinking
question
about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to, like, when we look at how the space rolls out, you have to imagine that there are going to be a bunch of dynamics that happen. First of all, the reference to World of Warcraft and bots, that was like how we got into botting. We built our first bots on World of Warcraft. So it's been that long, I think 20 years since we've been playing around with this space. And the one thing that's really interesting is that there's always a cat and mouse between game developers and bot developers. And actually, no one ever beats the bot developers. They always come up with new ways to get around the mechanics that games built into them. And I think the perception of why bots are bad is because it's unfair. And why is it unfair? Because some people can use the bots and some people can't. And there's a big driver of that. And what ASM does is it kind of lifts something that's already there, that's kind of surreptitious, and puts it up on the surface it's overt. You can make choices around it and in the open, and it's fair because everyone has access to it. So that changes the optionality for games in terms of whether they the approach they take to bots. So we're already talking with some existing play-to-earn games who know that there's a bot problem and they are playing this cat and mouse. But actually, for them, they want engagement with the protocol and engagement with the games. And so there's a middle ground here where you can make, democratization of these bots a thing and make it transparent. And then people can make choices about whether they interact with them. So we don't intend ASM to sit behind the scenes and be some sneaky way to get an advantage. We expect it to be something that's overt and a new mechanic that can be included in the gameplay for everyone. So that's the first thing. I think the second thing, if you look at play to earn, it's a very interesting space, and what we're already seeing is this two class system where you've got people who can afford to own assets, and then people who are paid or employed or rented humans to play the game and leverage those assets for earning potential. And I think that that's kind of a little bit funny, that we have these kind of human farms out there that are essentially a way for the asset owning class to botize playing those games because they're not playing them themselves. They're outsourcing it to another human. And so we've kind of got, it's not a bot playing it, but really it's a rented piece of intelligence that is. And so let's just break that facade down and say, well, now if you own an asset, that asset can also be the asset that does the rented intelligence thing. So I think that will naturally happen anyway. Automation's a process that happened out throughout humanity, and it's not slowing down. And then the third, and probably the most exciting opportunity, is for people to look at this as a way to increase the optionality or increase the engagement inside of games and come up with new mechanics that understand this model of intelligence ownership. APHAs are going to be a really good example of that. So we're shifting the gameplay from mashing a key into the mechanism discovery around assembling and managing and training a team. And so the gameplay style for ASM games, I think, is an exciting space for existing games to explore, whether that's adding intelligent NPCs to your existing environment, whether that's allowing new automated player actions, or whether it's coming up with whole new ways of thinking about intelligence inside of gameplay. So there's three layers there that we have to look at, but there's no doubt that in the future, more games will have more intelligence. And we talk to people in the game industry all throughout this process, and they're already working towards this or working on this. So it's not something that's going to be, I think, behind the scenes like it is or has been in the past.
What a great question.
Amazing answer. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries.
Great. Chip, I've invited you. Yeah.
Hi, thanks for having me. I've got a question on the brains. I noticed in the latest announcement, it said, obviously we get one brain, but we can send it to our mining pool and then have the ability to breed or mine another brain. Taking that a next step further, with that new brain, can we therefore mine that and get another brain and so on, or is it just the original brain you get?
So the process for intelligence mining has two layers to it. So in the drop, you get your first brain in the toy box, and with that, you're allowed to use that and train that in your APHA All-Stars or other applications as they start to be developed. If you want to get brains for your other characters, then the mechanism for doing that is staking ASTO. So you stake the ASTO token, and that essentially mines a new brain for you. So we call this kind of NFT mining with the ASTO token as the collateral. And so that gets you to the point where you can have additional brains for your characters. Now, as things progress down the track, and we start to see some superstars emerge, or new characters and new use cases come out that can expand the population of brains, then we'll introduce a second mechanic which allows you to essentially create a variant of your more intelligent brain. So you've got a Genesis brain, you're one of the first to train it up, you get it to a level that it's performing really well in the AFA game, and you want to make that available to other people to use. You can essentially create yield from your brain by making other brains. So that's the kind of second stage. Both of those, we need to be careful to make sure that as a community, the supply and demand balance is right, so people can maximize the value of their brains as assets in their own right, and make them kind of highly tradable and sought after. Allow the community to expand so we can have more players playing the game, and make sure that we don't get someone replicating, millions of a really great brain for a certain task and wiping out everyone else's kind of skills and capability. So all the parameters around the rate of production of mining new brains or variants of existing brains is controlled by the DAO. And the DAO will set the settings to determine those inflation rates to make sure that we as a community maximize the value of brains and maximize the size of the community at the same time.
Awesome, sounds good. Last part to that question is time frame for mining a brain. How long does it take to create a new one?
Yeah, we'll put the detailed curves on that out in the not too distant future. It's
awesome.
Intended that so the curve will be designed so that you should end up with enough brains for an AFA team before the AFA game drops. That's the intention.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good.
Awesome. Crypto Navy, I've invited you up. Thanks, Chip.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, hi.
Welcome.
Yes.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. Big fan of the project. I think I've read in the past a bit about maybe some tools that are being created that owners of the ASM brains can use to actually train their brains for, like, let's say, less technically savvy users. I was just curious if you could expand on that a bit, like what the interaction flow could be for a user when training that brain.
Yeah, so it's going to be per game and what it would make sense in the context of that game. So, for example, AFA football has a really easy on-ramp for training. It's going to be just a matter of clicking a button, sending it off to the gym, and the gym kind of acts like a hyperbolic time chamber from Dragon Ball Z, where your brain goes in there and trains in hyper time across many instances of the game world at the same time, and then pops out the other end 1,000 times more experienced. Other games might employ different training methods and different levers for you to pull, and abstracted machine learning mechanics that you can tweak around with that make sense within the game world that they've been trained in.
Awesome. Yeah, that makes sense. I guess with the AFA training, obviously that's something that's, also part of this project. What if, for example, I wanted to take my fluff and turn them into a visual artist? I'm wondering if I could feed it certain art inputs and then have it produce me work and be like, hey, owner, how do you like the way that this one turned out? And I could basically say, yes, that's good, or no, that's bad, and sort of, train my brain in that way. Would that be something that, I'd kind of need to build myself, or are there any other sort of out-of-the-box tools planned for something like that? I guess really what it gets to is how do you take the brain and work on training tools that are, possibly beyond the scope or in a different field than games that are maybe, out of the box from within the ASM project. Hopefully
yeah, I love those ideas. the intention is that we'll be releasing tools for developers to do exactly that, is to take the platform and protocol and come up with interesting ways to do new things and create interesting experiences for people. So the intention is, as we launch the first game, that's going to show people how to do it, and we'll release those tools for everybody to get stuck in and come up with these really creative things, like you've just mentioned.
Awesome. Cool. Well, I think that'll do it for me. Thank you so much.
Awesome. No problem. Thanks.
Thanks, Crypto Navy. Does anyone else have any questions? No hands raised yet. Okay. Can get on to some of our text questions. Oh, yeah, we've got one. Love your name. I won't announce it, but you're invited to speak. Hi.
Hi, good morning. Yeah, I need to start changing that name. I'm transferring over to the Atari God. But I want in regards to like a visual and on the brain and my fluff, is this going to be separate NFTs, or will there be a platform where I'm going to be able to actually use on my PC to play with this? And is it going to be mobile friendly? What is your vision in regards to all that from a visual aspect?
Yeah, so there'll be a visual representation of the brain NFT that you can inspect and sort of have a good look at what its genome matrix and personality look like. We'll also have a dashboard for diving a little bit deeper into that stuff and really inspecting the metadata behind it for people who want to do that. And that will be hosted on the ASM site for you to do that.
Okay, awesome. And for my other friends that if they don't have a fluff, I know they're not going to make it, but can they get brains on the secondary after this whitelist?
Yeah, for sure. So the whitelist is there for our both our early supporters and our fluff friends. So anybody who's been with us on the Discord for a while gets automatically put onto that whitelist, or automatically get the opportunity to register for that whitelist. But that doesn't mean that they can't still participate in the minting event. So the minting event will have spaces for people outside the whitelist as well, and just like normal drops too. So if you get in early on minting day, then you'll definitely get an opportunity. Plus the secondary market exists after that as well.
Okay, thank you so much. So as a fluffarian myself, in ending conclusion, will I be guaranteed a whitelist spot, or is it a lottery on the fluffarians?
Sorry, off you go.
Yeah, I'd say we're snapshotting the address of all fluff owning wallets, and we'll add them to the whitelist.
Awesome. You guys are amazing. I'm so excited. Thank you.
Yeah,
Awesome.
cheers. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we've got Jace coming up now. Hey, Jace. You're on mute.
Yes. Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
I thought I knew a lot about crypto, but this just keeps blowing my mind. Okay, so I'm literally shaking here right now. The wife's giving me a break to come into this Discord and listen to this. So, question. So with the this NFT, in order to train our the brains, do we have to buy the tokens, and is there a cost to train, or how does it work? Or do we just stake it and then we accumulate the ASTA token from there in order to continue to train our brains?
So there's three kind of mechanics. So there's acquiring brains, which you can do either through the mint process on Genesis, or if you wanted to trade them on the secondary, or if you stake your ASTO tokens to mine more brains. So that's kind of brain acquisition. Training will be kind of domain specific, but in the case of AFA, we'll provide gyms and make it possible for you to train in those gyms. There'll be a cost associated with that to ensure that the resources behind there don't get kind of hammered and DDoSed. But the idea is to make it all affordable. And then when you want to save your memory, so you say you go for a training session and you get to the end of that, or you come out of a game and you've got some experience from that, then you can choose to save that experience or save that latest version of your brain using the ASM protocol, and there's a fee that's paid in ASTO tokens to do that. So that's the kind of 3 bits of the economy. The ASTO tokens, in terms of distribution, you'll be able to get those through either yield farming. So kind of the first phase of distribution is people can do a proof of capital, put some capital up, and lock it and receive ASTO tokens in return. The second would be obviously buying ASTO on the secondary market, or the third would be competing in play to earn challenges and winning ASTO in those challenges. Those are the primary ones. Obviously, there'll be other stuff out there for community incentives and driving participation across the different brain ecosystems that evolve out from the start one with ASTO and Fluffworld, AFA and Fluffworld.
Okay, it's just good to get an understanding of it. So I guess the tokens will be available on probably Uniswap or wherever. But initially, I guess the only thing is this is going to create huge demand, and I'm just wondering if everyone starts like buying the tokens, and then the tokens will increase in value pretty quick. It'd be good if there's a way to cap it to a price, so not the amount of tokens, but if you could do something like $10, $20, wherever it is, so it doesn't go, because if the demand on this is going to be significant, so it's not like I could see a lot of people buying it. So if there could be a flat like cost or something like that to do it, to make it fair, because obviously I've been in this industry for a long time, so it's a bit different for me. But I want it to be fair for everybody. So even those that don't have a lot of money, they can just know it won't cost them that much in order to just train the brains to make it fair.
Yeah, no, it's a really good point. And one of the reasons why we've decided to have these parameters controlled by the DAO is that fair is kind of an arbitrary thing, and what's fair is going to be what the community at large thinks is fair, as opposed to our kind of nerf hammer or power hammer to go and make those decisions. So we'll set up some initial settings that we think are going to allow a broad community participation, but over time, the cost of saving memories, for example, would be something that the DAO controls, and they set the fees for that. And so real community members will make those decisions. And if you stake your ASTO token in the DAO early on, then you'll get more voting power to have a role in making those decisions down the track. So we really want those kind of economic things to be driven by the community at large, rather than some kind of God mode that we have in control over. Because the community is the best to judge what fear actually is, and a DAO is a good way to get that outcome.
Yeah, that's a fantastic answer. Anyway, guys, hey, look, I just want to say, to both of you guys, fantastic job, loving this.
Thanks, man.
And Max Stalfe, leader number 1,
yeah.
and it's awesome to have someone that loves NFTs, is a huge holder of us too. So that's But thanks, guys.
Cheers,
Awesome.
man.
Thanks, bro.
Thanks, dude.
Thanks, Jace. Gonzo, I've invited you to speak. Just a quick reset. If you guys want to ask a question, just raise your hand. I'll be inviting you to speak in order of hands raised, or chuck it in the Ask Us Anything channel. Gonzo, are you still there? Just need you to accept the invite.
Maybe. Oh, there we go.
Welcome.
I work over here in Australia in construction and thinking about these things, both from a perspective of basic bots that I have on my website. They're kind of just basic if and statements, and they answer clients' questions. So logging onto my website, is this something that that could be potentially represented by an NFT avatar with a way more intelligent engagement for the customers when they come to the website, and that could be trained somehow, or that would be beyond the budget of a small business like mine to be able to have that sort of personalized training where it could answer specific questions about our business.
Yeah, that's that's actually kind of the whole point of the project, really, is to democratize this and get these kinds of tools out to the hands of everyone. The specific use case that you mentioned is a really awesome one that we've actually done a lot of talking about. The virtual assistant and digital twin use cases, which I think will be really awesome for that exact reason.
Okay.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I think one of the exciting things about this protocol is, there's a lot of research and activity and development and stuff that goes on in the artificial intelligence field, and some problems that field is big problems that it's trying to solve. And what we have now is the ability to bring open source incentives into that process and connect the outcomes of that work and that research and those activities to tradable assets. And so now, to participate in this economy, you need to build great tools, and those great tools need to be used by as many people as possible, and that creates protocol value. So the incentive mechanics are quite different from, say, what might exist today, where a company has to try and hold on and monetize directly that IP inside of their corporation and prevent other people from getting access to it. So I think we'll start to see some really interesting use cases emerge for those business-centric assistant models. And we even have in our broader centrality portfolio some companies that are working specifically on providing artificial intelligence to small business owners. So that's a conversation that we're really keen to kind of work out how to solve.
Yeah, I mean, even beyond that, you have estimating assistants doing takeoffs off architectural plans and quantity surveying.
Yeah, and fluffs themselves were designed to be brand ambassadors as well. So you talked about having that as the thing that people interact with.
Yeah,
so,
that would be amazing.
Yeah, all the models are fully face rigged, and when you get the 3D models coming out, you'll be able to take those things and use the open source tools to start to create those experiences. Or people might want to build a business on top of the ASM protocol, making it easy for someone like you to have one of those bots. So there's kind of this Lego brick.
It would come pre-trained or something. They've
exactly. Yeah. And that's the great thing about the blockchain space is you get these kind of primitives that become composable for other ideas, and we don't have to do all the work ourselves. Other people in the community might be, I can do this cool thing now, and fork off that, and create some kind of really cool use case themselves.
Yep. I have such a primitive understanding of all this, but it's so exciting. And congrats, guys. It's amazing.
Cheers, man.
I can't wait to see a fluff quantity surveyor running around out there.
I will have the first.
Love it.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Gonzo. Limbo, I've invited you to speak. And just so you guys know, we'll be prioritizing live questions over the text questions. So if you're desperate to get a question in, just raise your hand. Hi, Limbo.
Hi there. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes. Yeah. How's it going?
Cool. It's nice to be chatting with y'all. I appreciate you guys taking the time to do this. I just had a quick question. Man. If I don't really have any technical software knowledge, would I still be able to host a gym using my computer?
Yeah, gym hosting's something that is planned for a further phase of the roadmap. We've got some kind of ideas around and initial proof of concepts around how we think we can decentralize gym hosting, but it's not a fully resolved problem yet. It's if what the intention of the architecture is that it should be easy for anyone, even perhaps on your mobile phone, to run a client and use that as a gym. So that's where we want to get with it, but I wouldn't say we've solved that part of the equation fully yet. We've got some early architecture and some proof of concepts that make us confident we're on the right path, but it's not a feature that's kind of going to launch with the protocol.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
But if you are technically minded, there's nothing stopping you from constructing a gym. So the bit we're talking about here is for the average everyday kind of non-technical person. If you are technical, then you can start constructing gyms straight away.
Oh, right. To accomplish like the specific kind of action that you want to go to.
Yeah. And the intention is that gym architecture is decentralized, because the last thing you want is the whole thing to be reliant on, one set of cloud APIs. That's definitely not the path we're headed on. We're bootstrapping it in the AFA game to make it easy for everyone to start to train intelligence, and not have to set up that infrastructure themselves. But as we go down the path, other people will set up gyms. Perhaps those will be for other use cases. Perhaps they'll be competitor gyms to the ones that we're running for AFA. And then the next stage would be this kind of full democratization of gym infrastructure, or decentralization of gym infrastructure.
For sure, that makes sense. And I actually had a side question. I hope if that's okay. It was about a question that I had asked earlier regarding like possibly like a chatbot, right, for your website. And if someone created a gym that uses some kind of NLU technology, I think like GPT-3, I think is one, right?
Yep.
They can then go to that gym to then train their brain to do that, and then offer that to other like e-commerce merchants on their site, right?
Totally.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is there anything prohibitive? Like I understand that there's other ways to process kind of chat like capability other than GPT-3. I guess that depends on the gym creator then at that point, and how they've kind of created that.
I mean, GPT-3 is really fascinating and very powerful, but it's actually not open. And there are significant limits around the architecture of GPT-3 as it relates to making things open source and commercializing them in an open source way. So there are plenty of other models out there which you can achieve those types of tasks really, really well without getting into GPT-3. I mean, I hope that down the track, GPT-3 becomes more open and it becomes a generally available tool for anyone to start to create with and commercialize. And that'd be a great outcome. But the field is evolving very quickly, and there are plenty of open source tools out there that can achieve the same kinds of things.
Cool. Well, this is exciting stuff. Again, I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Limbo. Teal, I've sent you an invite.
So, wait.
Oops, sorry, Limbo.
What's up, guys? I'm back.
There.
Hey, man.
That's all good. So just to clarify, we need to use ASTO to kind of imprint the memories into our brain. So does that mean that the gyms that will be created to train brains must be built on top of the ASTO protocol, so that we can then use the ASTO to imprint the memories?
That's correct. Yeah.
So pretty much you're creating a whole new business economy on top of ASTO, which is programmers creating games to train AI brains, and that'll be for a whole variety and host of different reasons, whether it's art or customer service, stuff like that.
Yeah, totally. And so when we look at the altered state machine protocol, it's a primitive. It's a new Lego brick. And the great thing, if you design a good primitive, it does something very simple but very powerful. And so our focus is on those two things: proofs of ownership of agents, and the second thing is the ability to inject traits into NFTs that control the way agents work. If you put those two things together, they become kind of like a chain link oracle, in the sense that oracles are actually a very simple idea. And the execution of that idea is actually relatively straightforward too. But because data is used in everything, and the oracle principle can be applied to lots of different kinds of data, you have an unlimited world of use cases that can be built on top of that Oracle primitive. And so we're thinking about ASM in the same way, that it is this basic Lego brick that people can create all sorts of different kinds of applications on top of, for different kinds of AIs, for different kinds of use cases.
So is it going to be like in Ethereum, where in order to process an Ethereum transaction, you need to use ETH and you can't use other tokens? Because I asked this because if that's the case, it will just be a crazy demand for Asto tokens. So that's why I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah. Basically, yes. To save a memory that's valid for the protocol, you need Asto tokens.
Cool, thank you. It's a pretty wild tokenomic structure that I think will lead to a lot of demand in the future as this project grows. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Cheers.
Thanks, Neil. We've got Floating Coconut now. Hi, Floating Coconut.
Hey guys, coming to you from the McDonald brothers' hometown of Palmy North. I just had a question.
Palmy represent.
Yeah. Just wondering if Brooke had anything to contribute, and maybe we could get him on a 5-minute monologue, and inevitably he'll leak something.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you're just hoping he leaks something. Brooke?
What do you got to say for yourself? You're on mute. No.
Mr. Howard. I'm actually glad he's not responding, to be honest.
He's probably not even there.
No, Brooke.
Nah, cool. That was all. I was just wanting to see if Brooke had any intel for us on the down low.
Yeah, no, we'll keep him out of this conversation because there's so much happening in October.
No.
Oh no. Oh no.
You know what? I'm probably doing exactly what everyone else is doing. I'm just talking to Amber, my wife, about how crazy this is, how much bigger this is than every time you guys talk. We're just talking about applications for this in the real world. It's not that gaming isn't the real world, but it's off the chain. So yes, congratulations, guys.
Thanks, bro.
Thanks, bro.
And thanks for not leaking anything.
Well, I think the key here is just not telling me anything. So that's good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, dude.
Andromatha. I need another coffee. I think it's Andromatha.
Great name.
However you want to say it. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, yes.
So another Aussie here. I just had a question about, I guess, the AI. Obviously, buying this NFT of the brain isn't just buying a JPEG; it's giving you access to an AI. How does that actually work in terms? Are you actually, I guess, providing us with access to a very powerful computer, or is it into, I guess, the blockchain? Is that the AI, or how does that work? I guess at a high level, obviously, don't go into too much detail.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. Dave, do you want to take it?
Yeah. So at a high level, the NFT will be the neural network. So that's all the decision-making processes that the AI does, and the data behind it is the world that it trains in and operates in, and the compute power that you've mentioned will be the servers that run those training environments and also run the games. So you get access the neural network gives you access to work and train in those worlds, essentially.
Yeah, so like if I was to dumb it down a little bit more, the NFT contains a bit of code which represents how that particular brain will operate in a computing environment. And so you kind of think of it like uploading a program. So the program's contained and locked to your NFT, not on chain, it's stored off chain, but it's linked to your NFT, just in the same way that a JPEG would be linked to your NFT. And then when you go into a game environment or to a gym environment, you select that memory, that piece of code, and it puts it in there, and then the computing environment sits inside of that game or that gym. So it's not something that you're required to supply or to be involved with. You just kind of click select this, push the button, train. So the computing power sits outside of the protocol, and the training environment sits outside of the protocol, and the game environment and server hosting sits out of the protocol. What the protocol cares about is storing that little piece of code which represents your brain and linking that to the NFT.
Okay. I think that makes sense. So your brain is effectively used as an input into the games, and so you're obviously training it to improve your input. Is that in simplest terms? Yeah.
It's just like your brain, basically. You learn a skill and you go into an environment and you respond to that environment with the skills you've stored in your brain. So all the skills that your little NFT has about what is a ball, what happens when I move towards it or move away from it, or touch it. All of that stuff is stored inside that little memory script that sits linked to your NFT.
Yeah, beautiful.
But not the specific instruction, which is I'm going to now do this and that.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. That was the only question I've got, and thanks for releasing the whitelist. I can sleep a little bit easier now knowing that I'm involved.
Yeah, cool, man.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Thank you. Cheers.
Hi, Carl. Normal human brain. That's something an AI would call themselves, I reckon.
Very suspicious.
Yeah, sure. I'm very suspicious. Very suspicious. Hey guys, you're gonna get sick of me asking all these random questions, but I've got a question in regard to the sort of platform or maybe platform for non-ASM owners. I understand that there's going to be some sort of way to sort of lease out your brain to, say, fluff owners and gamers and NFT gamers and alike. Will there be some sort of platform created for people that want to lease these brains out from ASM owners, and will this be managed by the ASM?
So in terms of leasing and renting, my view is that that's going to be an important part of NFT and metaverse mechanics overall, but it's the specialist thing. And so we're quite involved with the team over at EnterDAO, who are building all of the protocol mechanics to allow renting and leasing and mortgaging of NFT assets. And so I imagine we will collaborate with them to come up with options for you guys to do that within environments like AFA Stars, for example.
Yeah, awesome. So it would be sort of like feeding back into one of the ASM type NFT platforms. So you would have an ASTO sort of cost, I guess, to the people that are leasing. Is that right? So they're not ASTO.
I think the actual economic mechanics of how all of that stuff work will reside within the protocols that provide those kinds of lending and borrowing and financial mechanics. And again, this is one of the great things about the blockchain space, is that you don't have to build everything yourself. It's a very collaborative environment, and that's actually quite a specialist protocol activity. So we want to focus on making lots of useful ASMs and brains and play to earn games, and they can focus on providing really great protocols and liquidity for those asset mechanics. And we're very involved. My fund D64 led the round for Enterdao. We work with the team on a Lime Chain team on a bunch of other projects. So we're really keen to collaborate with them on that.
Yeah, awesome. I think just coming from a person that's not very technical minded, just trying to make full use of the ASM. We're probably going to need some sort of help and platform to make that work. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll definitely exist.
Awesome. Thanks.
Cheers.
Thanks, Carl.
Bye.
Thanks, Carl. Do we have any other questions? Oh, yep, Fluffy Kiwi. I've sent you an invite.
Oh, gone.
I think we lost him. Oh,
There we go.
come on up, Fluffy Kiwi.
Here we go.
Sorry, guys. I didn't see
No
the bar at
worries.
the top of the screen. So this is just related to. Oh, by the way, just love everything you're doing, and the excitement is palpable. But
thanks, man.
So thank you. So the sales pitch for my friends, getting them on board. Just to know in terms of transferring the brain from A for All Stars to the fluff, is that going to be a real simple process for them?
Yeah, so the brains exist as their own standalone NFT, so you can drop them into any form within any world that's compatible with them.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
Yep.
And in terms of training the fluffs, going to be like a separate gym, or will that all be an ASM gym as well?
So the gyms will be per world or per experience. So you'll create a new sort of memory for each world that you interact with. So AFA, there's going to be a gym for that, and that'll train an AFA memory within your NFT, within your brain. And then the upcoming fluff experiences will have different training parameters for those and create memories specifically to those.
Okay, cool. And then they'll just know which ones to use whenever they're in a different experience.
Great. They're pretty smart.
Sweet. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Yes.
Sweet. Thanks, bro.
Thanks, Fluffy. Crypto Poppy, you've been invited up.
Hi, how are you? Quick question. So if you have multiple fluffs, will you get multiple brains?
So when you go and register, your fluff gets you on the whitelist for the ASM Genesis drop, and in that drop you get one brain, which you can use for any compatible NFT avatar, whether it's an A for All Stars or a fluff or other projects that we kind of bring in the future. So the first brain you can use amongst any of your characters, and then to get other brains, you need to stake Asto in the protocol and mine new brains.
Got it. And then as far as the other avatars you guys may be partnering with in the future, do we see a partnership with crypto avatars anytime?
I haven't talked to them yet.
Oh, okay. Nice.
But the protocol's open, and anyone from that community wants to reach out.
Cool. Thank you.
Cheers, man.
Good. Thanks, bro.
Thank you. Jace, welcome back. You're on mute there, Jace.
Hey guys, I'm back.
Hey, bro.
So, a question then: with the fluffs underground, would there be a possibility to go into underground and just click a button and say train fluff, so we don't have to go out of the underground with the fluffs into Astro and another website, but we can do it all linked from the underground with fluffs?
So training environments are application specific. So to train in AFA, you need to go into the AFA application. There might be training environments inside of the underground for other things, maybe.
Yeah. Because I was just thinking, you could have set ones like train for music or train for gym or train for like art or whatever it is in the underground, and we can just click on it and then instantly just convert and do it for our fluffs. I know, I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, guys, thanks.
Cheers.
Awesome. Thanks, Ray.
Trying to get leaks out of Brooke.
I
Welcome
would just
back,
be
thou who shall not be named.
Okay, I'm so sorry, but I had a double dip. I'm in a group chat and there's like 10 fluff owners in there, okay? So I just had to speak for us.
Okay, go for it, man.
We're all huge on the project. We love it, by the way. Thank you. Shout out to Star Wars. He's the one that put us on to you guys.
Cool,
But so one of the guys, his fluff is on his hardware wallet. Does he need to? Is it too late for him to bring it back on chain so he can get one of the brains?
Ping us the details.
Okay. Yeah. Copy that. And just to also confirm, I believe you said it earlier. We don't need to actually click on a whitelist or get a role in this chat to get the brain, or do they have to also? Because I have some friends that have fluffs and they want to know if they need to come in here and get a role assigned.
Yeah. So we'll snapshot holders for the whitelist, and then you still need to mint your brain though. So you need to go through the mint process and mint it. But everyone will be on the whitelist.
Awesome. Okay. You guys are amazing. Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank
Yeah. Okay. Anyone else? Yeah. The billionaire. I've invited you to speak. Welcome. You're on mute.
Are you there?
Billionaire?
I think you're on mute.
Oh, there we go. Good evening, guys. Thanks for having me up. Quick question on the brains that you have, right? You saying that they will have the experiences of the shells that they're in, and that you can use these shells across different projects. So, specifically, if I wanted to use my fluff as my avatar on Twitter, because the Twitter news is how they're going to be connecting to these 3D avatars and things like that. Will there be a program where I can have, let's say, my fluff greet people when I'm not available? Or can I have them on a particular platform, like welcoming people to the platform? Like, what specifically are the parameters for training, and what will we be able to do with them?
Yeah, I mean, that's really down to the application developers to come up with those cool use cases. Like, I think having a Twitter interface chatbot would be a really cool one. We're going to launch some of these in each of these categories, some of these ideas for people to experience and kind of experiment with in a really simple way. To give the broader developer community a hint as to how they could build other applications on top of that. So with our first release of the AFA All Stars, we're creating a model there that can be picked up by other play to earn games. In the same way, this kind of chatbot space is something that we'd like to produce a first party example for our community to play with, and for others developers to take and then make their own use cases out of. The same thing for perhaps the NFT generative space. So there's kind of all these different ideas that we will bring to market as little kind of starters or firelighters for the broader developer community to take those tools and those examples and build other cool use cases on top of. I fully expect to see that kind of stuff happening for sure.
All right, awesome, thank you. And then also too, like there's a number of like projects that are coming out. Like they have MeBits, they have the URS I came across. Like if I'm looking for, because I'm trying to get advice on future and what I should be looking for in the future when I'm looking for an NFT to purchase. Right now I'm on Fluff, locked in on that. But what type of projects should I or would you recommend me look at that can possibly take on a brain?
Yeah, I mean, I think the key thing to think about in that space is the more rich media experience your avatar would have, the more capabilities it will have in terms of applications and interactions. So, so that's kind of the first thing. Obviously anything that comes out of the Altered State Machine team or the Fluff World team or Fluff World franchise projects, they'll all be natively enabled for this kind of capability. So, so that's a really good kind of indicator of where we're going with those projects or aligned projects to Fluff World that will come out. So so I think look for rich multimedia type NFTs as a baseline because that you can do more things with them. Dynamic NFTs is another area because when you start entering these game environments and those kinds of things, dynamic NFTs become much more powerful. And then Fluff or ASM aligned projects will be kind of first in the queue to use this stuff.
All right, awesome. Thank you guys for answering the questions, and thank you for having us a part of this next phase of NFTs. Thank you so much.
Cheers, man. Thanks.
It's our pleasure. Thank you.
you. AP, you're up next.
Yeah,
Hello.
you guys.
Hey.
Hi there. Hey, just wanted to say massive fan and super excited to be a part of it. Every time I hear you guys talk, it's just I get more and more pumped. So really cool to be a part of the journey. But my question is, are we going to be able to get? I've got 2 fluffs. Am I going to be able to get 2 brains if they are in different wallets?
Well, the short answer is all fluff containing wallets that were in the snapshot when we started the whitelist will get the opportunity to mint an ASM brain in the whitelist.
Yeah.
And if you happen to have 2 wallets with 2 fluffs with separate fluffs in each one of those wallets, then you will be captured in that process and have the opportunity to mint twice. But the intention is to give fluff account holders a benefit, but also leave room for the broader ASM community as well.
Makes perfect sense. Thank you guys, and as I said, doing awesome work. Keep it up.
Cheers, man.
The intention with the whitelist is to reward our early supporters. We really love that you guys have been on the journey with us and really appreciate your support, and also the Fluff community as well, who's amazing and obviously going to be a big part of this going forward. And we want to remove the possibility of people doing silly things like creating bots. Even though we love bots, we don't want to. We don't want bots to make it unfair for everybody else. So that's why we're doing the snapshot process so people can't game the system and make it unfair for everyone.
If someone does want to create an ASM mint bot in the future, though, to attack other projects, then go for it.
Not an actual suggestion.
Thanks, Mark.
Welcome, Bunny Binion.
Hey, how you guys doing? Thanks for having me. So I had a quick question about staking the brains. So I know you guys had said there's a Genesis drop. This is the Genesis drop. Are the brains we will be staking, will we be earning more Genesis brains or a different collection?
No, so you're staking ASTO tokens to earn new brains. So they're not staking the brain in the first instance. The brain you mint, your first Genesis brain, then you stake ASTO to mine new brains. So the kind of think of it maybe in terms of proof of stake. You would stake the ASTO, and your block reward is an ASM brain.
Awesome. And so that would mean, so I don't know if does that mean it would be the Genesis brain or a separate collection?
No. Yeah. So it won't be a Genesis brain, but it'll be a ASM genome matrix, which is the first type of brain standard.
And the only way to get the Genesis brain would be to mint it, correct?
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Boom. Thank you, guys.
All
Cheers.
good. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, welcome. You're just on mute.
Star Wars. That's still on mute.
There I am. Holy cow.
There we go.
That took a second. How are you guys?
Not bad. How are you?
Good. So a couple questions. So AI is coming into this space. Who is, I don't want to bring them up or whatnot, but who is your competition in this space? Because I don't know of anybody else that's doing this, but like, is there anybody else doing this? Like AI, putting AI in NFTs?
There's one other project that I know of that's of any substance, but they're not quite doing the same thing as us. I mean, I think the interesting thing about what I've seen outside of ASM when we did our research is a lot of the projects that have done some kind of NFT AI mashup, they haven't really kind of thought deeply about it. It's been almost like, you know, when NFTs come out and the noob to the NFT space, their first reaction is, oh, I've got a piece of art, let me take a photo and make an NFT of it. You know, it's that kind of level of sophistication of thought. And we kind of decided to look beyond that and think about what are the most interesting intersections between between AIs and blockchains, and that comes down to those proofs of ownerships and the ability for trait manipulation to affect the way AIs behave in an environment or learn about an environment. So no one's doing those two things exactly. And we have some kind of moat around that because our patent application details those two primitives quite nicely. So I think, you know, other things will emerge. Of course, we're not the only one thinking about this stuff, but from what I've seen so far, other projects are approaching things from a different angle, or perhaps have just kind of done the first obvious thing as opposed to the deeper thing.
And that was kind of going to be my second question is, like, you guys have patents, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it's really important because the risk of it to the open source community is a company like Google or Apple could come along and patent the next step in this themselves and lock out the open source community from innovating and doing what it does best. I think the implications of a DAO owning a patent on a piece of open source software is pretty powerful. And we wanted to get ahead of the game and protect the innovation in this space before something like that happened.
Nice.
Yeah, and not to say that we've figured out how that ownership works yet, but it's something that we're researching and we'd like to see happen in the future. But the reason for the patent is not to stop the open source community developing out this idea, it's to protect them so they can.
One last quick question. With the toy box coming out, it has the 4 APHAs and then the brain. Are they all like separate NFTs? So we would have like 5 separate NFTs?
Yeah.
Yes.
So five NFTs on the mint.
Nice. Okay, cool. Yeah. Awesome. Keep up the good work, guys.
Cheers, man.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks, Star Wars. Teal, welcome back. Are you there?
What's up, guys? Did you miss me?
Yeah, totally. I was like, when's Teal coming back?
I was waiting in suspense this whole time. So for, let's say, entrepreneurs like myself that have very little coding knowledge, like I imagine, and here's a free business idea that isn't too clever to think about. If I want to teach these brains body language, there's probably only like mathematically, there's probably a certain number of iterations it needs to experience to learn body language. Statistically, I imagine somebody smart would be able to figure that out, and to calculate like how much would it cost to program something to teach a brain body language. I don't have those skills though. So I don't have any of those skills though, and I'm wondering, are you guys going to provide for the community some sort of this is how you map out, or this is how you create a new skill set in a brain, and this is kind of the required investment for it? Because I really have no clue how to go about gauging something like that.
Yeah, so actually the really cool thing is that the AI space is actually pretty massive, and there's a whole lot of projects out there working on abstracting this kind of functionality out to the masses all the time. And that's the kind of stuff that this ASM as a protocol can take advantage of. All this massive amount of research that's going on out there to solve those problems that you're talking about is something that we can tap into, and people can make those kinds of experiences using the protocol. We don't have to necessarily solve those problems ourselves. We can just work alongside the people who are already doing it.
Yeah, and I also, just to your point though, our PhDs are making sure that the learning curves for things like AFA are tuned really well, so that we have a reasonable idea that spending X amount of time will induce Y amount of improvement in the learning of your character. So that's something we'll take care of in our first party games. You don't have to worry about it, and you'll get agents that are tuned to learn and grow at a reasonable pace for keeping it interesting for everyone.
Okay, cool. Thanks, guys. I gotta go, but I really appreciate everything you do, and I'll talk soon.
Thanks, man.
We'll talk soon.
Awesome, pleasure.
Thanks, Teal. Welcome up, Ash.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. Just got a quick question on that whitelist. When did you guys do the snapshot? What time?
We might announce that up in the announcements feed. I don't have the time on me at the moment. Our CTO does, and B, we want to make sure there's no attack vector implications of releasing that first.
Oh, yeah. The only reason I asked is because my wife bought one during you guys put that announcement up, so I didn't know when you guys did the snapshot. That's all.
Oh, right.
We'll confirm.
We'll confirm. We'll have a site available early next week to check if you're on the whitelist or not.
Oh, awesome. Thanks, guys. Keep up the good work, eh?
All good. Thanks, Ray.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thanks, Ash. Okay, we don't have any more hands raised at the moment. Oh, yes, we do.
Oh, no, two. There we go.
Hi, Crown. Come on up.
Hi. Thanks, guys. I had just a quick question about, I guess, running on kind of layer 1 versus layer 2, and how you're thinking about, I guess, the cost to run all the applications and the network generally. I'm not sure if it was in the white paper, but just curious.
Yeah, so the question of what network to be used actually comes down to a horses for courses for thing. So one of the things I think is important in the blockchain space is to use the right network for the right purposes, and this is why we see sort of emerging specialized networks for certain things. So some things will be done on different networks when it makes sense to do that, and we'll release details around those specifics as we go along.
Awesome, appreciate that. And I guess the other question is, and maybe this has, maybe you're withholding it, but I didn't see any information around, I guess, what it costs to mint and the brains.
Yeah, we haven't publicly released that yet, but it's going to be pretty good value. I think somebody mentioned just before that it's 5 NFTs in total that's going to be in the toy box, and we don't want it to be prohibitively expensive for the community to get involved. It's not a cash grab, so it's not going to be about massive minting fees to get people in the first place. It's about longevity of the protocol, so we've got to strike a balance between that and also making it valuable and fair for the people who have been paying attention from the beginning.
Understood. And would you guys think, as my last question, I'll kind of hand it over, but would you say you're, as a primitive, I guess, much more horizontal than something like Numeraire, where they kind of have the AI that you can train for trading purposes, whereas you guys would be just, I guess, more, that's vertical, you're horizontal. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it.
Yeah, and I think even that project, the ownership model of that agent is quite different to the way that Altered State Machine is set up. So we've been really careful to make sure that whoever owns the ASM agent NFT actually owns the code for the ASM agent itself. It's not something we keep in the application or in some cloud server somewhere. So that makes it kind of really flexible for the different kinds of use cases.
Understood. And I guess this is just conceptually something I'm still trying to fit in my brain. How does the NFT own the code? Like, how do these two things connect? Because I still, I guess conceptually and still trying to wrap my head around how it works at that level. And maybe it's a bit too long of an answer for this call, but just curious if you could, kind of break it down into, like, I'm a 5-year-old.
Yeah, no, I mean, the simplest way to think about it is that in the same way that your NFT owns, say, the JPEG that sits behind your PFP, JPEGs are just bits of code too. And so the process is similar to that in terms of the linkages. The bit that provides the ownership proof that goes beyond that layer is as you train your agent, it leaves like a fingerprint that's linked to your agent's DNA, which is this kind of personality matrix. And so as it evolves, all of the times you save your memories, it's got this kind of tree or history of learning behind it that you can use as a proof mechanic. And then on top of that, each time you save a memory, the memory is signed by the key that owns that NFT, as well as the game training environment. And so, if you were to kind of try and bootleg someone else's agent, if you got a hold of it and try and upload it, say, into the AFA game, the AFA would give you a bounce back because it didn't sign that particular NFT's memories.
Very interesting. So just in the AFA context, if I have a brain in my player gets really good at, in the soccer environment, I can technically take that brain and let's say apply it to a new athlete in a hockey game.
Yes and no. I mean,
okay.
So just like if you learned football and then you went to try and play hockey, you would kind of have some of the general understanding of the game. Like, you know that the puck has to go in the net just like the ball has to go in the net. You know that some forces are applied to the puck, it will move, those kinds of things.
Right.
But you don't necessarily know automatically how to ice skate.
Right. Right.
So in the same way your brain has to learn new skills for new environments, ASMs will have to do the same. But some of the things might be compatible.
Some base skills may overlap. Okay, very interesting. Yeah, no, appreciate it. This is definitely one of the most interesting projects I've come across. So very excited for what you guys are building. Thank you.
Thanks,
awesome. Thanks, man.
All right. He said it because every time y'all say that, I'm gonna raise my hand to get more information. Yeah. So what the question I had was actually asked by Till. So thank you for asking that. But my question is the future of ASM, right? Because like this movement that's happening right now, it's literally a new economy that is being created, right? So how do you see ASM playing a part of creating essentially new jobs for people, specifically programming these AI bots to perform tasks? And do you see these brains you're creating moving outside of the scope of like gaming and things?
Yeah, so good question. We actually have thought quite a lot about the use cases, and I think the reason why we're kind of tackling this game in metaverse space first is because it's the easiest one to get people's heads around, and also it's one of the lower risk environments in terms of outcomes, negative outcomes, and so it's a good place to start and kind of build up capability. And there's heaps of value in that space, as we all know. It's kind of the hot topic right now. But any area that machine automation exists in is a candidate area for ownership of machine automation agents. And so you can think of, if you can think of an idea that an AI can help solve, then owning that AI is something that we could do with the ASM protocol. So in that sense, it's quite broad. In terms of the roadmap areas that we want to focus on, I think the two ones that stand out to us is the DeFi space. So there's a whole bunch of existing automation happening in that space and bot activity in that space, but there isn't a strong connection between the community governance and protocol governance mechanics that those protocols employ, like DAOs, for example, and those often opaque off-chain agent environments. So perhaps we can start to join the dots a bit better between protocol governance and agents that are used within protocol processes. Same thing with regards to maybe investing in things like quant funds, for example, and start to bring some of the visibility of those agent mechanics into the on-chain environment. Likewise, oracles is another area which I think is interesting because machines are good at processing data and putting outputs from that data back into the real world. And again, this protocol would allow closer knit governance between the agents who process that information and the communities who run and manage and govern the protocols. So that's kind of an interesting area to explore. Also, if we go to the next kind of area of interest, is this whole digital human notion. So, there's a lot of kind of speculation and activity around building out these digital humans who can act for us autonomously in the digital space, or even perhaps exist as individuals in their own right in the future, intelligent individuals. So how can you build a world out where there's a digital Aaron out there, but the ownership of that digital Aaron sits inside a Facebook or a Google or some other corporation? That just doesn't gel with the idea of something being your digital twin. And so ownership mechanics around digital agents, I think, is the next area to explore. And how do you connect personal ownership of those agents and the tasks they do in the real world, in the digital world?
Oh, thank you.
No worries.
Like, really, thank you. Now, I don't know if it was asked before because I jumped in a little bit later. But the ASTO token, I understand that you're going to have to mine for it. But is that something that when it first starts off, it'll have to be mined, or is there going to be an exchange or through you guys where we would be able to buy that token? And then if we buy it and stake it, does that earn rewards? And I heard you say that a little bit earlier as to where you earn tokens to buy other brains. Now, sorry, 3-part question. So are there going to be levels of brains, like tier 1 is basic, tier 2 is at AGI level, and then tier 3 is at let's say supercomputer level?
Yeah, I think so. To break that down, so the first kind of community participation in ASTO token distribution will be through proof of capital liquidity mining. So that'll give everyone a chance to take some assets that they might have lying around and lock them, and then in return for locking it, get the ASTO token. And then if you wanted to, I'm sure that some people will start to list those, and there'll be a market for them to people to buy them on the secondary market as well. Then once you have those tokens, there'll be 2 things you can do with them in the short term. One is stake them and then mint new brains. So you'll be able to mint the other 3 brains you need to play AFA, for example. And the other thing you'll be able to do with the token is stake to activate governance rewards. So this is where you get your voting power to participate in the altered state machine protocol. So that's the first 2 kind of utility use cases. And so your rewards are governance, voting power, and new brains. And then down the track, obviously, there's the other things like being able to save memories or make challenges in the AFA arena, or all those kinds of other utilities. In terms of the levels of brains, so everything that's kind of minted as a fresh virgin brain, let's call it, from the protocol, using the genome matrix spec will have kind of a random capability. So there's a chance in minting new brains that you come up with some kind of high stats in an area that you think is important to your team composition or to some tasks that you want your agent to do. And so, as you mint new AFA brains, you'll get the opportunity to kind of maybe get in that minting process something that gives you some more skills in an area that's important to you. And then the second mechanic is if we get down the track and you have one of these Genesis brains and we open the door to variant cloning for those Genesis brains, then you might have trained something up to be really good at a task, and you can take that and then make variants of it that are already smarter than, say, the virgin brains are. And so the opportunity for kind of replicating a more intelligent brain will exist in the protocol. And that's to help kind of grow the population, but also provide like a yield for those first Genesis brains to earn for training their brain up first. And then the last bit to kind of cover off the whole spectrum around your question is the genome matrix spec that we release at Mint is one possible spec for brains. So someone in the community could come and propose another standard that has different mechanics and has a different starting point and uses a different model, and therefore they could have super brains for a different task. But that's something that community would vote into the protocol as a standard and all the mechanics around it, and then that would be a new kind of economic model for that specification.
Awesome, thank you. And sorry for taking up time. Just one more question. Just one more. When it comes to these brains, right? Like, is there going to be like a verification type thing to show how smart a brain is? So let's just say, I'm going to just use an example. Let's say I wanted to train my brain to trade Cardano. Not financial advice for anybody, so I'm just using this example. But right, so I trained my brain on my traits to mine Cardano. Let's just say I had a 80% success rate, but the next person trains it to do Cardano as well, but they have a 50% success rate. But when me and him go to sell our brains, we say like, hey, we both trained our brains to buy and sell Cardano. Like, is there going to be a metric to show people like, hey, my AI is more successful than his, or vice versa?
I think there's two answers. Dave can cover off like the APHIS specific example, and then I can talk more broadly about that DeFi example.
Yeah, good plan. So if we bring it into the AFA world, we will be exposing the statistics like goals scored and assists and all those sorts of metrics that are important in a football game up to the NFT level. So when you go to inspect these on the secondary market, you can see this guy's a really good striker or a really good defense or whatever. And that will be done on a per world basis. So the stats that make sense for that world can be exposed up or not exposed to the secondary market if that makes sense for that world to do so. But your example, that sounds like something you would definitely want to expose up to the secondary market.
Yeah, and I think so the important click in your question is that right now, if someone were to build those two bots and one said that they performed better than the other, there'd be no way to verify that because the bot sits outside of the space of all of the other on-chain activity that we would use to verify that it was successful. Whereas if you had that bot in an ASM and it was making the trades as that ASM, and it was connected through the NFT to on-chain mechanics, then you could see that that ASM actually made those trades, and therefore its performance relative to the other person's would be obvious because you'd be able to see the stats from the trades that it's made. So that's the kind of thing that we think will be interesting about this connectivity to on-chain mechanics with the agents themselves, linking those proofs of trading performance with the proof that that agent made those trades.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for letting me nerd out for a couple minutes this evening. I'll talk to you guys.
So good.
Yeah, have
Love
a great
it.
weekend. And Carmen sent you a DM, so please get back to me for sure.
Awesome, will do. Thank you,
Thanks,
the
Ray.
billionaire. Great questions. We've got Crown next in line. Welcome up, Crown. And then are we going? How are you guys feeling? It's up to you, really.
I think that'll be the last ones.
Yep. Lucky last, Crown.
But we will follow up with questions in the written form afterwards, like we always do.
How you going, Crown?
No, can't hear. It's coming through silent.
You were working before.
No.
Okay. Well, maybe, David, did you just want to give a quick rundown of what you said at the beginning about the whitelist for those who came late?
Yeah, sure. So the Discord basically exploded when we tried the whitelist the first time. So thank you for your support. That's really awesome. We're working with them to see if we can get it up and running, and they don't blacklist it next time. If not, we do have an alternative to the Discord process that will get up and running. So we'll do another run at this early next week and give you all an opportunity to jump on that whitelist if you're eligible. And we'll also extend the window of time that you can use to get onto the whitelist. So no, not to worry.
Awesome. Do you want to give it one more go, Crown? I don't know if it's.
Can you guys hear me?
Oh yeah, we can.
Yes.
Oh, amazing! Thanks for the technical assistance. Quick question, just around governance. How are you thinking about that from a I guess from a community perspective? I think one thing I've seen in the past is kind of distributed governance can be very helpful. I think in the long run. In the short term, it can be, either chaotic or kind of a bit of abdication when no one participates and there's no kind of clear leader from a team perspective. So how are you guys thinking about kind of decision making in the short term versus the long term? Because I think I've seen projects have trouble with this community governance being handed over too soon. Just wanted to get some thoughts on that.
Yeah, it's a great question. So as you know, we're a DAO first project, and our early contributors are made up of people like Delphi and Animoca and Polygon and a whole bunch of really, really strong players in this field who are experts in these sorts of things. And given that they're early contributors, they were the first to receive the token. So it's those kinds of people initially who will be making the decisions on the DAO.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right that there needs to be, it needs to be a cautious approach to involving the community over time and making sure you get that balance right to maintain momentum and to increase participation. Like David said, we've got lots of people who are involved who've spent a lot of time thinking about this stuff, and we've already had some experience with some of our advisors in the likes of Barnbridge, for example, which is probably one of the best DAO first protocols out there. Tyler's an advisor to the project and would be one of the experts in doing this the right way. So I think we've got some good capability around it, but it is a thing we need to kind of manage, make sure that we're on top of.
Awesome. Thanks for answering and taking the time.
Yeah, cool.
No problem. Thank you.
Thanks, Crown. Okay, that concludes our third AMA. That was a biggie. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, loved all the questions this time. And we'll get a recording out shortly of this. Usually it drops on a Monday, if I'm not wrong, Carmen.
Yes. Yeah. And also, we see that you're still, some of you are still confused about the whitelist process. So we're going to be doing a Medium post, just like real simple black and white of Q&As that you've got around the whitelist. So stay tuned for that.
Awesome. Thank you, Cameron.
There is.
See you guys.
Thank you from everybody to you guys.
Thanks,
bro.
Thanks, bro.
Nice.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.